Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the SEO video show. Today we'll be talking about how to recover from a Google update if you were penalized, with all kinds of tactics and assessments from our very special guest today, Dr. Marie Haynes of MHC. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. It's going to be a fun one, guys. Luther, hello! Dr. Marie Haynes is in the live chat. Hello! Super excited for this chat. Hi, Marie. Hi, Dre. From Lucy. Anastasia. Happy Friday, everyone. Hi, Marie. Hi, I'm Paul. Starships, Bradley, my man, yo, happy Friday. Stefan, welcome back every Friday. Love seeing you here. Hi everyone, happy Friday. Alright guys, today's topics, we'll be talking about how to recover from a Google update with our very special guest, Dr. Marie Haynes of MHC. We'll talk about site assessments, quality assessments, and so much more. Quality rater guidelines, all kinds of great stuff. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. We got a little more than 7 minutes to go. Let me know what you guys are drinking. I know sometimes you guys, it's late for you guys drinking a beer. I'm still on my 12th cup of coffee. Oh, but I do decaf, guys. I do decaf. So 12 cups, you know, it's not that much of caffeine. I just love the taste of coffee, so. This will give me the jitters, too. If you're on Twitter, go ahead and retweet my tweet. Let everyone know we're live. Stream Elements. I don't know how this bot keeps coming on my live. What are you doing here, Stream Elements? Hobby, welcome. I'm drinking vodka Zanroka with Coca-Cola with sugar. That's a lot of sugar, alcohol, and sugar, and oh my god, that's probably more than stronger than a coffee. Welcome, Hobby. Today's topics, we'll be talking about how to recover from a Google update with some site assessments, quality assessments, with a very special guest today, Dr. Marie Haynes of MHC, Marie Haynes Consulting. To visit today's sponsor, hrefs.com/AWT. Kobe, my man, what's up, Dre? Hello from Seattle, Washington, Carol Fry. Hello. Marie, where are you located? Dr. Marie Haynes. This is vibey music. I like it. Ottawa, Canada. About 3.5 more minutes to go. I see Ernesto just joined. I love SEO. Hello, Ernesto. Speaking of I love SEO, you know I love SEO so much. I give away free prizes for those that put I love SEO in the live chats. And this week's prize will be a new SEO in 2022 book. Check this out. I have my promo copies to give away. Put I love SEO. If you're in the US, I can mail that out to you. If you are outside the US, I can actually, I think I can do a Kindle copy. I can probably possibly do that. Or if you want an Ahrefs gift package, you can get a notebook, stickers, all that great stuff. Just put I love SEO in the live chat throughout the live stream. Sipping on hot chocolate, Bradley, Starships. Stefan, I love SEO. Stefan, you've been here since day one, brother. I'll try to get a book out to you. I know you're out of the country, but I'll send one out to you. And for those, I'll be actually hosting a live for the book launch this Tuesday, so be sure to check that out. Will be, I believe, on the Majestic channel, so you can check it out. All these great SEOs that I'll be interviewing and just talking to for about an hour, I guess, and see what they wrote in what they contributed in the book. So be sure to check that out. Mark your calendars. December 6th. That's a Tuesday, and I go on at 4. I actually go on 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. London time, and you can see it on the screen. All right, guys. We got about 1 more minute to go. We'll be talking about recovering from a Google update and all some great things from Dr. Marie Haynes. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, ahrefs.com/AWT, and I will see you on the other side.
Time to get it started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show. Hey!
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre De Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. And my favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest. And my guest today is the founder of MHC, Dr. Marie Haynes. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Hobby, Stefan, Bradley, Marie, Ernesto, Carol, Kobe, Hobby. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Where is the best place to hide a dead body? Page 2 of Google.
Google recently added a guide to the Google search ranking systems. It is a guide to understanding some of their more notable ranking systems. It covers some systems that are part of their core ranking systems, which are the underlying technologies that produce search results in response to queries. Okay, can schema data give Google a signal to create a knowledge panel? Let's check this one out.
Schema markup is super important in that it structures the information for Google, but it isn't the answer to all your problems. It isn't the magic bullet that a lot of people believe it to be. Google needs a clear description, which we talked about earlier on, and you will see that in the knowledge panel. It will show a description if it is clear. We also at Kalicube, we have Kalicube Pro, and we analyze the descriptions. We can understand using Google's NLP whether or not Google understands it. So we pay a lot of attention to the description because that's the foundation of Google's understanding. The schema markup repeats that description in the schema markup itself, confirms the information using the different attributes, and then expands on it with additional attributes. So the schema markup is simply you repeating what should already be in the page for the most part, in a structured manner, and then pointing to all the different corroborative sources that repeat the information that you've already given.
I was able to pop out my knowledge panel by playing with my page on Wikidata and registering profiles on the list that Jason has on his website, Kalicube. Okay, Bibi Raven was on Rank Ranger this past week. She tells us how to create a linkable asset. Let's check this one out.
Businesses find it hard to focus on something else other than their product. And when you're talking about linkable assets, of course, you know, when you have a fabulous product or it's groundbreaking or there's a huge story behind it, people will link to it. But overall, when you just talk about yourself, when you're just broadcasting about your product, people won't link to it because they see there's some kind of commercial benefit to it. If you focus on others, and others that can be your audience or other companies that target your audience, it's way easier to get links. And then you might think that, oh, this is not relevant enough for me, but in a roundabout way, it will be relevant. So I would definitely encourage people to not just think about yourself and your products and what you're trying to sell. A linkable asset isn't there for selling.
Bibi will be on the show next month, so be sure to mark your calendars to get all kinds of link building tips. What's MC4? Ted Kubitis explains on SEO Fight Club. Let's check this out.
If you trigger MC4, so what happens with MC4? It's a web spam algorithm that says if you exploit a minority of factors, that the algorithm should just ignore those factors just for your page. So when you do backlinks, you know, I did backlinks, did a bunch of backlinks, did 50,000 backlinks, and my site tanked. People say, oh, I'm over-optimized, or Google penalized me, and I need to disavow and do link removal requests. And that's usually the wrong thing to do, because odds are there's not a single human being over at Google that is aware of the situation. It was an algorithmic demotion because an algorithm like MC4 told Google to not count the one trick you use as part of your score. And so the way you get it to use it as part of your score is you diversify your ranking signals. So we want you to go wide in ranking signals before you go deep in any one signal. So if you go deep in a signal and it doesn't end well for you, well, welcome to MC4.
I highly recommend reviewing the new Google Search Ranking Systems Guide that was just published. It's a great way to understand if your tactics are working or explain traffic drops during our core process. So what is a core update? Lily explains a little bit on Moz this past week. Let's check it out.
Another concept that a lot of people don't understand about core updates is that they often operate on a site-wide level, similar to the helpful content update, which means if Google has determined a large-scale pattern of either great quality content or not good quality content, or perhaps a lack of EAT, expertise, authority, and trust in certain areas, a core update can impact the rankings of almost all your content at scale. So that's not necessarily to say that there's one individual article that dropped in rankings because that article is bad. You could actually just be impacted by the core update as a whole because Google decided that your site in general shouldn't be ranking as well as it is. So people don't always understand that core updates operate in a site-wide fashion. Content quality is extremely important during core updates. So if you read Google's questions about the core update, almost all of them tie back to how much is this website meeting the expectations of users? How much does the content offer something unique that I couldn't get from other people's websites? Is the spelling good? Is the grammar good? Is the usability good? All of this points back to quality.
You know who knows all about core updates and recovering from them? My guest today. But before we introduce my guest, here is a word from our sponsor. Are you sick of your competitors outranking you in the search results? Your solution is Ahrefs Webmaster Tools, and it's free $99. This isn't one of your 14-day free trial offers. Instead, it's a super powerful tool that'll do a full website audit for you and keep working for you for free. It'll scan your site and prioritize precisely what you need to fix and improve for your search results. Visit ahrefs.com webmaster-tools for this free tool. Find the link below, and by checking our sponsors, you support this show. Now let's introduce our guest. Marie has been recognized as a leader in the SEO industry since 2008. She is known for understanding how Google search algorithms is working and sharing in layman's terms how business owners can improve their websites. She's an author and written up for Moz, Search Engine Land, and Search Engine Watch. She's a regular speaker at PubCon and SMX. She is the host of the Search News You Can Use. Please welcome the founder of MHC, Dr. Marie Haynes. Marie, welcome to the show.
That was amazing. I'm almost crying. That was so cool.
everyone, let's give Marie a warm welcome. All right, Marie, this is let's get right into it. Like in 1 minute or less, I always ask this question as the first question. 1 minute or less, how does Marie get ranking on page 1 of Google?
It's all about EAT. EAT, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. So Google's algorithms, they told us just last week that EAT is the core of everything. Every single query that you search, it gets processed in the eyes of EAT. So being a legitimate business that legitimately is helping people is the key to getting on the first page.
Love it, love it. First knowledge bomb of today. All right, Marie, let me rewind this quick. Hold on. Take us way back to 2008. How did you first get into SEO?
Sure. So I was a veterinarian. So this is kind of a weird career path to go from being a vet to an SEO. And I created a website. So I hurt my back and I was on the couch with a laptop and I was like, oh, okay, I'll learn to make a website. And I made this website where my clients could ask me questions, veterinary questions. And the reason why I did it is because my clients would come to me with all this false information from the web. And they would say, oh, I read on Yahoo Answers that you should be doing this. And so I wanted to create a website to get really good, true, valid information online. And when I did that, I made a great website. It was like, okay, I guess, but nobody came to it. I had maybe 30 people a day coming to this website. So I learned SEO as a way to just get more people to come to my website. And then in learning SEO, the whole story is a very, very long one. We can tell parts of it if you want, but the journey has been incredible where I'm just trying to learn what Google's doing and put it into practice. And then in the end of the story, well, I don't know what the end of the story is, but I've done a lot. I've had an agency and now I do solo consulting again. So we can talk about that too.
Love it. Okay, so let's for in SEO, like what part of SEO actually made you interested in it?
So the thing that got me was that I had good information, but nobody could find it. And so good SEO is making sure that your information is, first of all, findable, that Google can crawl your site, that Google can understand your site. And if you don't have those basics in place, then, your website's not going to do very well at all. And so what fascinated me is what takes a website from page 3 of Google to page 1. How do you get there? And there's many different ways, and we've talked over the years of links being so important. And what I've seen over the years, because I've been analyzing Google for 15 years now, is that links are still important, but there's so much more that Google can use to determine quality. And I think most of the industry is kind of left behind, optimizing for old Google algorithms, where things have really changed. So what drives me in SEO is just to be always learning, to be always understanding what it is that works, and then trying to help people to implement that on their sites too.
Love that. It's a perfect segue to my next question, because so if you're always learning, how are you actually learning SEO? I mean, were you following anyone? Tell us how your learning process.
I actually made it my full-time job to learn SEO. So, but it took a long time for me to get there. I think the best place to start learning is Twitter. And some people might argue with me because there's some good information. There's some not so good information on Twitter. But Twitter, you're going to see people who are legitimately doing SEO and helping businesses in real life. And it's amazing how many people are really willing to share their knowledge. Or, you're trying to get something to work and it's not working. You can just go to Twitter. And as long as you're not scared to ask a dumb question, because my very first question in a forum, the SEO chat forums, was about keyword density, which even back in 2008 was a dated question that people laughed at me for. But I think learning is all about finding people who are doing it and then learning what they're doing, and so many people in the industry are really willing to share their knowledge. So what you do on YouTube, I only just recently found your channel and I subscribed. It's great. I love what you're doing. Finding ways to make it entertaining to teach people, right? So what I do to learn is I have a newsletter. And every week I make use of Twitter's bookmarks. And whenever I see something where I'm like, wow, this is super interesting and it helps me do my job better, then I put that in newsletter. And in doing it, I need to write something about it, right? So I need to understand it. And so every time Google makes a change, or Google says, oh yeah, we changed our guidelines to say this, or here's something that we value in terms of quality, I've written about it. And if you can explain it, you probably see this too, that if you can explain things to people, it gets in your head, right? So it's like a little secret thing that if you can teach, then you can learn as well. So that's really what, for years now, that's what I've been doing, is trying to understand everything that's important about Google and then sharing it with others. And that's how I learn.
Love it. Okay, so I know you said you were in some SEO chat forums back in the days, and you were getting called out or whatever. So what were some of those forums that you're actually visiting back? Are they still around? Was there anyone that you followed?
Yeah, the SEO chat forums is no longer there. Okay. Webmaster World is still around. I didn't hang out in Webmaster World that much, but there's some good discussion in there as well. A place where you can learn a lot is the Google Help forums. If you find the crawling and indexing or crawling ranking indexing forums, and it's just real business owners asking questions like, oh, I can't get my content indexed. And this is actually where I learned a lot. Was I tried to find the answer to those questions to help those people. And then I learned, how to do that. So, but there really aren't a lot of online forums. One exception for local businesses. The local search forum is a really, really good one. So if you have a Joy Hawkins runs that, and it's a really good one. But there aren't a lot of discussion forums now. It's like the internet's kind of gone a different direction, I suppose.
Love it, love it. And yeah, like when you mentioned, because Twitter is like this kind of the open forum, right? You can just go on Twitter and ask your questions, tag someone, tag you. You're always helpful in sharing all your great information, which brings me to our first like tip and topic of today. I mean, you are someone who can like recover from penalties and how you can recover from Google updates, but you have a process in doing this, right? So you actually have to do some assessments, right? This is something that you actually provide, some things you provide. And for those that, want to just try to recover and trying to at least kind of peek into what's going on with their website, what are some tips on like how someone could do a site quality assessment?
Sure. So I've written tons of stuff on the internet about site quality. And so first thing I would say is, just Google my name and site quality, or Google, and you'll find all sorts of information on what it is that Google says that they value in sites. And I developed a process, I want to say, it was 2017. When I first started, when I was noticing that websites that were coming to me with traffic drops often were getting beaten by sites that were more authoritative than them, or had more experience. Like a medical site would be beaten by a site that actually practices medicine, as opposed to just writing about it. And I started thinking about this concept of EAT, that as it's described in Google's quality raters guidelines. And so in 2017, I made a whole process where I analyzed sites in the eyes of Google's quality rater guidelines. And since then, Google has documentation now that says that, well, if you can assess your site like a quality rater, you're probably going to do well in Google's algorithms, because this is what they try to replicate. And so for many years, this is what my team and I did, was use this template to assess, are you seen as an expert? Do you have a level of authority? Is there trustworthiness on your site? And just recently, I've changed my whole process. And you mentioned this guide that Google put out to their ranking systems.
Yeah.
And there are, I think it's 26 different ranking systems that go, that might be in play for each of the queries that we search. And so now what I do is I look at each of those systems and evaluate sites in the eyes of those systems. So if you, for example, have product review content, that everything Google's told us about the product review system is really important, right? Or maybe freshness is important for a particular site. And so that's what I do now, is sort of look at each of these systems to say, well, which of these systems could potentially be taking issue with your site? And then Google's told us for almost all of these systems what it is that they're looking for. So how can we improve our site so that we better match that system, what that system wants to see? And then often, if we can make recovery is never just, make this quick little change and you're going to be great. It takes a lot of work to improve quality. And then often what we see is with a future core update. So when Google runs another core update, we can see massive recoveries when Google starts to appreciate a site's quality again.
Excellent!
Love it, love it. So we have a question here from Stefan. Stefan goes, and because you brought up EAT, and hi Marie, do you have a guide or / checklist on improving EAT?
That's like, was that a planted question? Because I do. I have a book that I wrote. I wrote the first edition in 2018, and then edited it and updated it in 2020. And it is a checklist that my team and I used. And you still can use it very much for site quality reviews. You can get that at mariehaynes.com/book. And so it's available. And then I'm coming out with a new version of that, but the old version is still very, very applicable. The new version also talks more about not just the quality raters guidelines, but also taking into account Google's machine learning algorithms that I think have radically changed how Google ranks search results. And I think many SEOs are not paying attention to them. Yep. So there's good information in there too.
Love it, Stefan. So be sure to check out that mariehaynes.com/book, right? That was the URL?
That's right. Yeah.
And it's cool. So when will the new one be out too?
Well, I'm hoping for end of January. We'll see how things go though. Yeah, depends on how crazy Google is. We'll see.
Love it, love it. Okay. So I wanted to go, actually, let's take another question here from the audience. Umar Malik asked, does Marie recommend automating SEO testing on Chrome or just use crawlers to check website performance?
So that's an interesting question, because I think the work that most SEOs do that take up most of their time is assessing technical health of a website. And it's important for obvious reasons. I mean, if your site doesn't work, then Google can't crawl it. And there are places where you can optimize technical aspects of your site to help it to perform better. But Google's algorithms today, Google's new when they gave us the Search Essentials, which is basically the Webmaster Guidelines, but they renamed it, repackaged it, they actually tell us that what you need to know in terms of technical health when it comes to ranking on Google is just that Google can crawl and index your site. Now, that's obviously different if you're, a massive news site or you have millions of pages, then you need to be focusing on technical health. And I know I'm not really fully answering this question, but I think that people are spending too much time focusing on technical issues when what Google wants to reward is content that's better than competitors' content. So that's really important. So when it comes to automating your testing, I don't do a lot of that. I use Ahrefs and also other, I don't know, can I mention Ahrefs competitors?
Oh yeah, of course.
I use SEMrush as well for monitoring things, for doing automated audits and, staying on top of those things. But that's a minority of the work that I do.
Love it. Okay, so that actually kind of leads into this question by Hobby. Hobby asks, what are the best practices for monitoring a website performance on a global scale?
On a global scale, I mean, same thing. I think both Ahrefs and SEMrush have fantastic software to monitor. They both have different things that make them better than each other. And I think if you can use both, that you can get great insight out of those.
Love it. Which actually brings me to our next topic of today, which is on traffic performance or traffic drop assessments. This is something that you also actually provide. So I'm curious, what are you looking for when you get a traffic drop?
So most of what I'm looking for, most of the people who come to me are sites that have been impacted by a Google update. And so whenever Google runs, say, a core update, there can be sites that have traffic plummet, go down, by 90% sometimes. And so what I'm looking for, my first plan of action, I would say the first thing that I look for is there another reason? Have you made changes on the site that maybe you really have messed up, how your site is seen as performing? But most of the time that's not the case. And so what we're looking to find is what are the dates on which traffic very obviously starts to decline. And when you're hit by a Google update, it's usually fairly obvious. I have a list that I've been keeping since 2012, which you can get at mariehaynes.com/algo, ALGO. And it's a list of pretty much every update, whether it's announced or suspected update that Google's had. And so you can look and see my traffic dropped on this date, and it turns out that Google ran a spam update on that day. And then you can narrow down again which of the systems. So Google's spam system would have been the one that's in play there. And so the most important thing that I do now when I'm assessing traffic drops is find examples, and Ahrefs is excellent for doing this. Find examples of keywords that my client has declined on, and then see which competitors actually Google started to prefer at that time. And then we can look at those pages in the eyes of Google's quality raters guidelines and also all of the stuff they've told us about search quality over the years. And I find when you do that, it's super obvious how Google is rewarding pages that are more helpful.
Love it. Okay, so I want to get into, you meant recognizing pages that are more helpful. So how can Google, what are some helpful tips or those helpful, whole helpful content update came about, right? So how does Google know it's helpful? For those,
I think there are many, many different things, and where to start. I think one thing that SEOs, it's kind of flown under the nose of SEOs. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but the way that Google uses neural matching, and we're used to, we search a keyword and then Google's index returns pages that are relevant to that keyword, right? And then they use PageRank to say, well, the pages that lots of people linked to are probably the high quality pages out of those. But with neural matching, it's not keywords, it's concepts. And so if I search for, say, florist in Miami or Miami flower seller, those are different keywords, but they're the same concept, right? And neural matching helps Google return relevant pages in much better ways than PageRank can. So they can first find more relevant content with neural matching, and then EAT is the component that helps them find legitimate content. And so if you're sitting there as a site owner and saying, well, okay, that sounds nice, I need to be helpful and legitimate, but like, how do I do that? Google's got a whole bunch of documentation. I keep talking about it, but the Search Essentials, which there's a document in there talking about how to create helpful content. And it's not just about Google's helpful content update, it's about overall just helpful content. And this asks things like, are you demonstrating expertise? Are you, would people recognize you as an authority in your niche? Are you writing on topics where you already had an audience, an existing audience? Which is interesting, right? Because so many people are creating content just because they can and not because they're actually trying to feed an existing audience. So when it comes to creating quality content, really it comes down to all of those questions that Google gives us to ask ourselves to actually believe that they're legitimately able to accomplish that, and to fold or morph your content to look good in the eyes of those questions. That's the key right there.
Love it, dropping all these knowledge bombs. So you kind of dove into about expertise, authority, and trust. And so, like, if someone wants to, like, at least, like, what's one thing someone can establish expertise?
Okay, so the thing that we all talk about is author bios. And author bios are good if it makes sense to your reader. Like, if it helps your reader to understand the level of expertise that you have in sharing about a topic, then you should have an author bio. And probably author bios are used, the author information is used by Google in the knowledge graph. They can see the connections. Like, they can see that me coming on this show, you're known for interviewing people in SEO, and I'm known for SEO. This strengthens the connections in the knowledge graph, that just this very meeting, there's no links, we didn't pass PageRank through links as far as I know, but we've actually contributed to each other's EAT because you're seen as somebody who understands SEO mentioning me. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
That all of these connections. I think I've sort of lost the plot there for I rambled a little bit.
No. That's exactly this. I just want that one, how to establish the expertise right there. So now what's one thing how someone can establish authoritativeness?
Okay, let me go back to the expertise. One more thing.
Okay.
I think that Google is able to use AI to identify when content is expertly written. So if you were trying to make your content sound like an expert wrote it, you probably need an expert to write it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that's important. Authoritativeness is all based on what other people say about you. And so the Quality Raters Guidelines talk about how important it is for experts to be talking about you. So again, if I wanted to be known for SEO, I want to get featured on Search Engine Land, on all of these places that are known, that are authoritative for SEO. And when we look at Google's old, I don't want to say old because the core of the algorithm is still the same, but the rules-based algorithm, what would be important there is the page rank, that, if I got mentioned on an authoritative site and they link to me, well, that page rank helps me to rank, right? But it also contributes to EAT. Now, for some sites, having mentions from experts doesn't make sense. And for some sites, the Quality Raters Guidelines talk about how authoritativeness can be measured by popularity. Like, if you were going to buy a product and you wanted to buy it from, maybe there's 400 different stores that sell a product, Google wants to show you the stores that are known for selling that product. And they might look at things like how many reviews you have, or it's debatable, but I think they look at the sentiment of reviews. So I've seen cases where people had very bad reviews online and it impacted them in core updates because Google doesn't want to rank websites where lots of people don't trust the website or have had problems with it. So authoritativeness is very much about what other legitimate sites that matter in your vertical are saying about you.
Love it, love it. And the last part, trustworthiness. So how does someone establish trustworthiness?
Okay, so there could be many, many different ways. Google's got patents that talk about how they could demonstrate whether an article is factual. They can, look at things that are facts in the knowledge graph and see if your information contradicts that. And there's actually something in the Quality Raters Guidelines in several places that talk about how important it is to be in line with general consensus, which has been a little bit controversial because, just because lots of people believe something, does that mean that it's true? And what Google's trying to do here is trying to say, like, if you wrote great content on some conspiracy theory, and you're a great SEO, it shouldn't rank just because SEO. It's potentially dangerous to people.
Yeah.
So EAT, the primary purpose of EAT is to make sure that content doesn't get put in front of people that could potentially hurt people. So there are many ways you could demonstrate trustworthiness, and we could talk for the next 3 hours on what we could do. But really briefly, things like adding references. It doesn't matter whether they're followed links or no followed, but basically to say, like, this, I'm supporting what I'm saying, backing it up with scientific references, with references from authoritative sites, that type of thing. And then aligning with consensus, and also just being known for having a good reputation for what you do is something that contributes to trust as well. But there's probably thousands of things that can contribute to whether Google trusts you.
That's a lot of trust there, guys. All right. Okay, so that was some great stuff there by Marie. So I want to get into our last topic of today, which is manual action penalties. I mean, this is something where, I haven't worked with anyone that actually got one. I think I would be so scared if I got one of those. But I mean, what would trigger a manual action, and like, how does it look like? How can someone know that someone got a manual action penalty?
Manual actions was my bread and butter when I, eventually, so I was a veterinarian, I made this website, and then I was on mat leave, and I was on bed rest. And I was again in these forums, and some guy came to me and he said, I got a manual action and I want to pay you to remove it. And I said, like, I talk about these things, I'm interested in them, but I'm a veterinarian. I'm not, I don't know SEO. You can't pay me to do that. And he said, well, what if I pay you $300 if you get it removed? And I'm like, here I am sitting at home on my couch. I might as well give it a try. Right. And so I just kind of read what I could find online, but there wasn't very much written. And this guy had an unnatural links manual action. So that means that Google has manually visited his site and said, whoa, you're doing stuff here that we don't like. It's helping you rank, and we're going to manually suppress your website until you clean this up. And so I removed that penalty, and it was very rewarding to do that. And then somebody else contacted me and said they had the same type of penalty. And I said, well, my rate is $3,000. And she happily paid it. We removed her penalty, got her ranking again. And then over the years, it's gone up and up, and we've done so much work helping sites remove penalties. But then it slowed down dramatically. And we rarely get, I don't want to say rarely, I would say this year we've had maybe 5 to 7 requests for manual action help. And so Google gives a manual action when they can't deal with something algorithmically. And back in the early days when I was doing penalty removal, we didn't have the Penguin algorithm as good as it is today. The Penguin algorithm is the one that Google uses to ignore unnatural links in a lot of cases. And so, Google's gotten really good at algorithmically dealing with link spam and other types of spam, thin content, stuff like that. So we've been seeing penalties. The ones I've got recently are thin content penalties. We've had some with like celebrity gossip type sites that are getting hit for misinformation. And whenever we see that, if Google's giving manual penalties, it means that they can't yet deal with it algorithmically, but it's probably on their radar. And so what we'll probably see is that in 6 months to a year, there'll be all these sites that are algorithmically hit because of this thing that Google was working on trying to fix. So we don't see a lot of manual actions these days. Most sites do not need to worry about it unless you are like you're making a living off of spamming Google, then you might need to be concerned. They came out with a new spam policy last week for circumvention. So if you are consistently getting penalized, Google can now just say, like, forget it. We don't want to deal with you anymore, and you're out of the index forever. So interesting, right?
Love it. Okay, guys, if you guys have any more questions, put them in the live chats. I'll try to come down more of them there. But I want to ask, I want to talk about some of your new book. So you actually talked about, like, you said you're going to be updating your is it the quality rater book that you're going to actually update?
That's right. Yep.
That's going to go ahead and update more. So you're going to add maybe. There's so much of these ranking systems there. So with the book, what goes into it? Because I know you have to focus and stay into it. It's like, what are you putting in there? Tell us some details.
What am I putting in there?
Yeah.
Well, so I am really concerned about the state of the SEO industry, because there are some brilliant people in SEO. And there are very few who are talking about semantic search, about EAT. There's more now. There are people who talk about EAT, but the vast majority of SEOs, their main toolbox is things that likely aren't going to be working in the future. And a lot of it is not working now. A lot of what worked for link building is not effective today. And so what I really want to do is help people understand. I don't have all the answers, but I see that Google's headed in a different direction. And so what I want to do is to help people to understand what EAT is, how you can demonstrate it on your site. There'll be different examples of different types of sites and what they've done to demonstrate EAT, how to do things like adding schema to just, help Google understand everything about your business and your products and things like that. And then talking about the different Google updates, like core updates and product review updates, and also the helpful content update, talking about how Google is likely using machine learning to figure out which content is the most helpful. And then figuring out how you do that. And so the book will talk about that. And there's going to be a series of courses that go along with it as well, geared towards business owners and also agency owners who want to be able to evaluate sites with, understanding of these systems that Google has.
Love it. So you said courses. So the course is going to be separate, or is it going to be a part of the whole book package? It's going to be like a supplemental. How's that going to work?
I hope to have them all out at the same time. I'm about halfway done finishing it, but yeah, it should all be at once. You can buy the book plus course, or the advanced version.
Love it. MarieHaynes.com/book. Check that out, guys. All right, so we wanted to go into Starships. Bradley, my buddy here, asks, how long does it take to recover from an algorithm update after you fix it?
That's a really good question. Depends on which type of update you were hit by, but most of Google's updates these days tend to run in kind of batches. So if you were hit by the September core update, for example, you need to improve your site quality based on all the things we just talked about, and then wait until Google has reassessed your site and run another core update. So say you made changes today and Google ran a core update tomorrow, you'll have to wait till the next core update after that in order to see whether those changes for quality are assessed by Google and rewarded by Google. And then there are some updates that run in real time. If you were hit by the helpful content update, which at this point only the most spammiest of sites I think were hit, or sites that were using massive amounts of automation were hit, but it's going to get more. It's a machine learning algorithm, so it's going to be more and more serious and affect more sites as time goes on. It's something that is continually running, and Google wants to see that your site has been helpful. Not only is it helpful, but it stayed that way for a number of months. So most of the time, if you're hit by a Google update, you need to make drastic changes to improve quality, and then you need to wait for months. Sometimes it's only a couple months, but you need to wait for several months for Google's algorithms to catch up to that.
Love that. So these core updates, I believe we mentioned in a video earlier, so they happen quarterly. So is it maybe you look at maybe every 3 months or so, catching it within there?
Roughly, yeah. Yeah, we had September. Before that was May. I think we only had a couple this year, and some years we'll have 4 or 5.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So I wanted to get into my last question. If you guys have any more questions, please ask them in the live chat because I'm going to ask my last question. I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here. If someone wants to become an SEO professional, get into the SEO industry, what would your advice be to them?
Sure. I think this is the perfect time for people to get into SEO. And there's so many people, I've heard so many stories of people who are just struggling in their jobs and would love to. I have like the ideal job, I get to just hang out and learn on Twitter and so this is it's really a great career. And the problem is it's very there's no structured way to learn it. You can go to college and university to take digital marketing courses, but like by the time you graduated, they're done. They're outdated. And so what I would recommend is that you create a website and you try to rank it. First of all, you understand, you can read my newsletter, watch your videos, and learn what it is that Google rewards. And then, sometimes it can be helpful to work at an agency if you can find a good agency that's doing good work. Or, you can do what I did, was just start helping people. And I think as long as you're really honest about your limitations. So I would tell people, look, I'm not an expert on this type of thing that you want me to do, but I can focus on this, And so you can tell people, you can start trying to rank people's websites. And as long as you're open and honest with the people about you're just learning, then, it's very rewarding when you see, somebody getting business and supporting their family because you've helped them to get onto a Google search. So I think the best way to learn is by doing, and to just stay humble and to understand that nobody knows exactly what we're doing. We're all just trying to figure it out.
Love it. So we have Charles. Last comment here is, hi, hello, Marie. Love your content and podcast. Yes, Marie. I've been following your podcast for since I've been doing SEO myself, and then you actually moved it onto video, which is pretty awesome because I've been, the platform. That's how I was able to tag you and actually grab. If you watch some of my earlier episodes, I've actually take recordings and shared it. How I share tips in the very beginning. Yeah, I would frequently share your tips on there. Thank you so much, Marie, for sharing all your great knowledge. And for this episode to feel complete for you, any last piece of advice, comments, and how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me on Twitter. My DMs are open, so you can send me a message. And I try to help as many people as I can, although right now I think I have about 50 messages waiting for me on Twitter. My website is mariehaynes.com. And what else? I'm not currently taking on clients, although I have so many connections. And if you are struggling with SEO in any way, you can reach out to me at mariehaynes.com/contact, and I'll connect you with somebody who can do good work.
All right, Marie. So this is the very, very last question I always ask before I let everyone go, because the SEO industry has a lot of talents, and I've asked, is there any special talent? Can you sing, play an instrument? Is there anything?
I can, but I'm not prepared though. No. So I play guitar and piano and drums and all sorts of things. It's funny how many SEOs. Lily Ray said this, that. Yeah. There's a ton of SEOs that are drummers or musicians. I think there's something about the way our brains work is we can dissect things into, I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, but I'm not prepared to sing or do anything.
It's okay. All right, Marie, thank you so much. Everyone give Marie a round of applause. All right, thank you, Marie. Can you hold on for just one quick second while I sign off real quick? Hold on just one quick second. All right, guys. All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre DeVera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!